Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. As usual, as soon as we start this program, you could pick up your telephone and give us a call. We never have a subject matter. We speak about anything: politics, religion, socioeconomic issues, any issue trending, any topical issue of the day. But most of all, you have the opportunity to change the subject matter. You give me a call, we change the subject matter, because what you have to say more important than what we ever have to say. We just babble. You know, you don't have to worry about what's going on in China, Russia. Russia is mashing up Ukraine. A war that Ukraine can win and Russia definitely can lose. You don't have to worry about what's going on in Israel and Palestine. You hardly could solve that problem. It makes no sense worrying about what's going on in Japan and China over Senkaku or Diao Islands. But you could worry what's going on in your own homes. You could change what's going on in your home. We're very fortunate this morning. We have a whole group of young genius, the future of this country. Number of school children is in the studio this morning. So what better morning for me to talk about you changing your children, you know. A child is a gift from God. And most times we don't even ask for the gift. We don't want the gift, but it's a gift from God. And we have a responsibility to do the best with our children, to make certain that we fix the pitch for them. We mustn't tamper with the ball, but we must fix the pitch. The best period of time and the most influence and you are most impactful in a child's life between 0 and 12 years for the girls and 0 and 14 for the boys. By the time a girl reaches past 12 years is a challenge. When a boy past 14 is a challenge. So parents must make certain that their children are well educated, multi-skilled, multi-talented, and endowed with the characteristics that gives them the competitive edge. That's your affair. By the time your child is 5 years old, make certain your child start to play around with a musical instrument. If you have money to buy organ, buy organ. If you have money to buy guitar, buy guitar. But if you're broken, you have no money, get a shell. A shell is only $5, and you're getting the lambi in it. If your child could blow the shell, then your child could blow the trumpet. So you open a whole door for air instrument. We have to change, you know. We can't continue to only blah, 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 and we as parents not changing. And I blame women in general, because 60% of the women in our country, they lead the household. Or 60% of the household are led by women. But even the household are led by men. The women still in control, you know. So I think we could change it. We could make a difference. We have a number of students in the studio this morning. Children go to school for months of years, and 70% of our children cannot meet the basic requirement in school. I go straight out and blame the school. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome. Punch.
Good afternoon to you, Mr. Pierre. Blessed Monday to
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
I just want to say let every day be Mother's Day and continue to express love and gratitude to our moms. We have some mothers that we sometimes forget. They are biological mothers. They're not necessarily both children, but they play an integral role in the development of our children, in the lives of our children. We have some aunties, too, that are always looking out for our children. And to them, I just want to say thank you and take a bow. And we continue to depend on you. We continue to ask you to look out for us and to help, you know, shape and mold our children. One of the things that jumped out at me over the weekend is when I saw a young man trying to purchase a vase of flowers to take to his mother's grave. because he believed that she played an integral part in his growing up. And to him, he said that wasn't nearly enough, but he just thought it was a good gesture to visit the grave and put some roses. And I thought to me that was a very good gesture. I also witnessed that of a young lady. So to those who remember the good deeds that their mom, their parents has done to them, and continue to say thank you, and we are eternally grateful. I also want to take the opportunity to say congratulations to St. Joseph Convent, Grenville, on the occasion of their 70th anniversary. To the teachers, to the past students, we say thank you. We who have been a source of inspiration to the nation's children. And so many of them have gone on to be great men and women, and they're shining their light throughout the world, not just Grenada. In whatever profession you think of, there just might be a student there. So I just want to say thank you again and continue to do what you do. And I want to ask the past pupils to just remember that the sacrifices the people have made to you, and to help to mold and fashion the young minds that are there, and support the activities of the St. Joseph Convent, Grenville. To the principal, we know it's a hard task. You are, pretty young, and it's not easy to deal with children of all ages. And to those who have gone before, outgoing principal, Miss Maris, you have done an incredible job. We say thank you, and let us continue to support the activities. God bless you, Mr. Pierre. Thank you.
Yes, 70 years is a significant period in any generation, God give us 70 years to live. 70. So by the time you're 70, you're almost preparing to take your leave or your departure from this world. And St. Joseph Convent have been around for 70 years. So it's a significant period in that institution. Thousands of people have been educated, trained, and they have influenced significantly in it. So we must say thank you to them, and people must do whatever they could to contribute to this celebration. We have to do better in the Caribbean. We are not doing good in the Caribbean in terms of fixing the pitch for our children. You cannot have an education system in Grenada where 70% of the children that exit school cannot meet the basic requirement. It means that when they leave school, it's difficult for them to go to university. They don't have the basic requirements. The statistics in the Caribbean will tell you that 60% of the people looking for jobs, they don't have the talents, they don't have the qualification. Our educators have to do better. Our educators, our teachers are better trained, more qualified, better paid than any other time in our history. Electricity, telephone, water, and internet in Grenada is second to none, comparable with the best and better than most. You have the addition of having the computer and other technology. The telephone, the cell phone is like a university. It's a library. You don't have to have a physical library. Once you have the telephone, you could reach and you could source all kind of information. Our children must do better. They should do better. And we have to lay the blame squarely at the feet of our educators. Our educators have to get it right. Our parents, the parents, particularly the women of this country, you have to understand that your child is a gift of God. The impact and the influence you have on your child is between 0 to 12 years. Make certain your child get enough sleep. If your child setting up all hour in the night, they won't do well in the morning. Make certain your kid do some work home. You have to have them have a culture. Discipline them for work. Make certain by the time your child is 5 years old, they start a musical program. Every month, Grenadians down in show Whether it's an artist from Jamaica or Trinidad away, they're whining, they're jumping up, they're dancing. But the same people are doing that, the children can't even blow a shell. When the jab jab drum beat and the shell blow, a 1-year-old child whining to suit the music. If the child could react in rhythm with the music, the child could learn. We supposed to start to exposing the shell to our 4-year-old children. By the time they reach 5 years, they should blow the shell. Most of you have, the women have spouse. So you hardly could say wife, be careful. Because sometimes so few people getting married. So I prefer to say spouse. If your spouse is a jab, then make certain that you teach your child to blow the shell. So our children will be better able to access billions of dollars in the music industry. If we had 3 Rihannas in Grenada, if T-Color had two Michael Jackson and 3 Rihanna, that means you have millionaires in the community. Our children must learn music. In some schools, you have musical instrument rattling. They wouldn't expose it to the children. So a few children that is succeeding in Grenada, maybe about 15 to 20% of the children are succeeding. Parents, you have to encourage your children to do mathematics, chemistry, physics, biology, English language, French and Spanish. If they want bragging rights, they could do 25 subjects. But let them concentrate on the subjects that would give them the competitive edge in the market. If they could read, they could go and read history first. Let them go to church. Encourage your children to go to church. It's not a question about hell and heaven. But church teaches you to have compassion, to respect the elderly, to love your neighbor, to forgive. So encourage your young children to go to church. Bless them. Pray for them. And make certain that when they exit school, by the age of 16, they have mathematics, English language, French, biology, chemistry. Well, everything is computer today, so they must have computer science. Expose them to do music. It is practically saddening to the heart that Grenada is a little 12 by 13 country. Everybody lives by the sea, but 80% of our people cannot swim. It's like a joke. When people come, we practically laugh at them. So we have to encourage our children to learn to swim. Why schools don't have table tennis board? Why schools? Table tennis board don't have to make. The handicap section or department could make the table tennis board. Carpenters could make the table tennis board. What are we doing to black people? That's why you see I don't care about the reparation. I don't care one thing about the reparation. If you get money from reparation, you get. If you win lotto, you win lotto. Nothing wrong if the white man give you money. But the black man was selling slaves 700 years before the white man gone by. So I ain't blaming no white man for buying slaves. Yes, morally they're wrong. But if slaves selling, if I there, I buy too. What we need to do is to make certain our children competitive on the market. You don't have to believe me. Go in the mental institute. See how much of our boys in the mental institute. Go in the prison. See how much of our boys are in the prison. Go on the block. See how much of our young boys that want to marry. They don't even want to marry. They want a lot of women, but they don't want to marry. And this is not a good sign. You cannot propagate our country and develop our families if we don't want union between the male and the female. We're setting up ourselves. And the University of the West Indies has not done justice to us. The University of the West Indies has done very good for the Caribbean. They internationalize the Caribbean. They're in about 4% of the universities in the world. So we have international recognition as a result of the university, but they have not developed us. Tell me how much university graduates you see fishing. Tell me how much university graduates you see in agriculture. Tell me how much university graduates that are mechanics. Tell me how much university graduates you see involved in the community, whether it is Poetry Salaka, or River Sally Salaka, or Simoon Salaka, or Telescope Salaka. Everybody making Salaka. But our best minds are not there. They turn down with borrowed feathers. They feel they're too good, they're too educated to help to develop our country. So this is the challenge we have. And why it is so few of our children are leaving school with the basic requirements that we're going to always be struggling to have jobs. And that could change. You know, we may not be able to change the things in the world. We could forget that. We could start out our homes and change the things at our home. You don't have to believe me when I speak. Watch through all the tongues in Grenada and see how much children are involved in successful business of the parents. We have a culture that discourages us from getting involved in parents' business and expanding it. So once the parents reach incapacitated age or they're dead, that business flop from rags to riches to rags, and the next generation try to make it. We could change that. We could change that in our children, and we could start by making certain that your children do good subject in school. You have a lot of subjects for bragging rights, wasting time with history, a bag of lies. If children want to read literature, let them do it. Send your children in church and don't bother with scripture. If I was a Muslim, I would have 5 wives. Because Islam encouraged the man to have 5 wives. And Islam says you could beat your wife. You say admonish her, deny her your bedroom, but you could beat her slightly. So imagine one of these slim young women getting slightly beaten from a small man like me. But that is what the Quran says. So they could go to church and learn the scripture. Don't waste time with that. Concentrate on the subjects in school that give your child a competitive edge. Look at Jamaica. Jamaica is like a failed state. John Galt always tell me Jamaica is a failed state. Failed state. So much of crime. You think Jamaica would have been teaching music in the school? What's Trinidad with all this calypso? And you think they'll be teaching music in school? Watch our calypsonian here. As soon as they sing a good tune, they turn Jamaican. They speak in like a Jamaican. Practically laughable in Jamaica, you know. A Jamaican accent pronouncing Grenadian words. Looks so silly. But if we offer our children education that is practical, that when they leave school, they could enter any university. They could go in any field. You know, we have to do better. I believe we're setting up our children. And the only people to wake up is the women. Because 60% of our household are led by women. So the women should wake up, you know. And the women should recognize you have to fight for your child. No man could have the bond, the feelings that a woman has. She carried that gift from God 9 months, perhaps, in her abdomen. And perhaps she didn't even have a man. Sometimes the man say, blow your nose where you catch your cold. Or sometimes the man say, you have to watch and see. So the bond that she developed with her child is sacred. It's better than any bond any man could have. But we have to create the fighting spirit that she prepared to fix the pitch. How do you fix the pitch? You make certain your children are well educated. You have to prepare to be on the ball with them in school. You have to ensure that they do mathematics, they do chemistry, they do physics, they do biology, they do French and Spanish, they do computer science. Those are the subjects they could pick it up. And you have individuals, you should let no one tell you that you cannot learn. They don't use that word anymore. They use some very highfalutin word. They say the child is not academically inclined. Big words. In yesteryear, they just say you're dunce. But now they say your child is not academically inclined, so they must learn to go and do technical education. That's a bag of hogwash. Anybody tell you that they should give you a medical certificate, and then you could bring them up. No one would put their signature to a paper to say to you that you are not academically inclined. But they like to tell you that. And it works on you, mentally, psychologically, and you believe that. So our children could do better. It has nothing to do with genetics. Maybe about 0.1% of the people in the world that are exceptionally genius. The rest of people could learn. It has to do with the environment. It has to do with the environment that created, and we could make a difference. We could make a change. And I feel our teachers in school are not doing justice to our children. Yes, you might have one or two good ones, but the majority of them don't good. They're not helping our children enough. And we could do better. We could create a better environment for our children, and we could do better. And today is a good day. It's only yesterday. This sister called me for always bring the soft side in me. I forget it was Mother's Day long time already. But we want to encourage the mothers of this country to understand that you carry a gift from God. And if you don't fight for them, you have to lead the fight and the struggle. And you should let no one tell you that your child is not academically inclined. No one should say that to you. It is the same as what used to be used yesteryear. Your child dunce. When you go to school and you had big nose, thick lip, and kinky hair, they thought the skin on your back was hide. So they say they're going to tan your hide. And sometimes they used to really do that. 20 and 30 lash with a strap was not unusual. Today, maybe they did the best they could then. But today we know better. We could make a big difference and have our children much more educated, and to ensure that when our children leave school, exit school, by 16 years, they have the basic requirement that would make them competitive on the job market. No politician would be able to come with a wimp and fancy and fire them. That's what they do. They don't have to beg for a job. If the majority of our people are competitive on the job market, the communities will be developed. Some of the individuals who walking around town now like turkey cock, just because they come out in university and have a master's degree, they'll be less in number because the majority of people would have that level of qualification and they would not be dons with borrowed feathers. So we have to do more, and we have to start now. The generation that is out of the school, you could only salvage a few. That is a lost cause. But we could change the dynamics in school in the next 5-10 years. Because in the next 5-10 years, if we concentrate on the subjects and the children is quite capable of learning, nothing is wrong with them. The teacher, if you're teaching a child and 20% of the children learning, you're not a good teacher. If you're making snow ice, and they give you 100 snow ice to make, and the majority of snow ice don't good, you're not a good snow ice maker. If you're a seamstress, and you're sewing skirt, and they give you 100 skirt to sew, and 70 or 80 of the skirt don't good, you're not a good seamstress. If you're making furnitures, and only 20% of the furniture is marketable, you're going to bust. So if you're teaching maths, and the majority of children you teach cannot pass maths, you're not a good teacher. The time have come past we should send them back to school to learn maths. Or maybe we should pay them based upon their productivity. If you're teaching maths in school and 20% of the children pass, they should have to counsel the teacher. Because it means that you are not teaching. Because 20% of the children could pass without teachers. There are a number of children that goes to school, and because of the supportive environment at the home, they only go to school for socialization's sake. So our system is hatching onto success story. Our system is hatching onto success story. They don't produce success story. Children go to school, and since they're 5-year-old, they are profiled. That can make. That do good. This one is academically not inclined. 5 years old. So the child is profiled. So the school is not producing success stories. They are hatching onto success stories. So I know it's a challenge because it's always difficult to train bright people. Bright people is the hardest head in the world. Go and ask Albert Einstein. You cannot depend on morality with our top intelligence here. So we have to encourage them to be productive. It's going to take some time, but we must do that. If we want to make serious change, we have 110,000 people in Grenada. If we want to be competitive on the job market, because of economy of scale, we have to have people who are very competitive on the market. And they have to have the best education. We have to be practical. And then we're going to get better politicians. The politicians are going to change. And you could give me a call. The number, you could pick up the telephone and give me a call. The number is 44200175. And you could call me on any subject matter. And many of you inside here, but if you want to ask me a question on any subject matter, you could too, you know. We could just provide anybody that want to ask a question. We're glad to have you. Or you want to discuss something totally new, we'll just give you a phone and you could ask the question. Because you are the future, you know, whether you like it or not. You are the future. You are the change that will take place in the country. And we don't care how you ask the question, whether or not, the only reason we don't take on sign language here is because we don't have the ability to. But here it's not about grammar or anything. It's just about people expressing themselves. We believe we could do better. We have a number of children that not helping their parents home. And I believe if children in secondary school, they must be more helpful home. If the pipe bursts and water falling, child waiting to call mommy say pipe burst. Child get the water fixed, get the pipe fixed, I call the plumber. Children now supposed to be finding out how much current we're burning in the house. If you're using 10 Grenadian, yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre, and how are you?
Great, man.
All righty. Mr. Pierre, you see, we must have that, this result, you know, because remember, this kind of, they're still on work, you know, never mind. Teachers, I have no respect for them because I see their performance. I see their attitude during, between, work to rule time, 2018, 19, come all the way to 22. The behavior. So if it work to rule, how did children go down? How they will be competitive? So they can be competitive, and the parents is job. So they may even studying to help the children, so they would fall there. You understand? They would fall there. So if you have yours, and you could help yours, and you could help a few close to them, fine. But I cannot see we progressing. You know, because I even look at I don't know if it's a town hall or what they had, or a consultation with barbers and nail technician and hairdressers, and it's from this self-in organization. That's the first thing they had to put on the table. Instead of coming and make derogatory statements, like, get certified, or if they catch you illegally practicing, they go give 5 years in prison, $150,000 penalty. You know, that is laughable in my book. Laughable. A man like Telesford, owing $10 million. That's what he had check on. Check on, he owing an institution $10 million. But he want to produce a bill where he could crucify people, drop out enough people that learn to do nails on the street or on the beach or wherever. They see something, they watch somebody do it, and they catch you doing it. They go charge you $250,000. If them by them they had $250,000, they didn't have to go in GDB to get loans. And do them stupidness there. And they have the Prime Minister to back them up. No. A bunch of jokers we have dealings with here, you know. But with me, let it come. I'm well certified. And if it reach to anything, all I do is just shut that down. And I go and I go be a down in Boward Feathers, drinking my liquor and
Yes,
hanging out.
Yes.
I'm serious about that.
Yes,
I
thank
shut
you.
that down.
Okay.
And I go into retirement.
All right.
Yes.
We are all teachers, you know. All of us are teachers. Sometimes when you speak about teachers, the teachers get very angry with me. But we are all teachers, and the first set of teachers are the parents. And I believe a mother, I have a different definition for mothers and fathers. Anybody over 18 years that could influence your child is a mother. Any woman, any man over 18 years that could influence your son or your daughter is a father. And we have teachers, we have the informal teachers and the formal teachers. So most time, by the time you say teachers, it looks as if we're speaking about only the teachers in the schoolhouse. Some of the teachers in the schoolhouse don't see me because they're talking about them alone. But I'm speaking about all teachers. And some of the teachers perhaps on the radio, the personalities on the radio, the Calypsonians. They used to sing, well, I can't sing, so the station want me to sing. Children go to school and learn well. Otherwise, later on in life, you go catch real hell. So in yesteryear, when parents wanted you to do your homework, or they want you to go in your book and you're not going, they sing in that whole day. And neighbors joining them. Mighty Sparrow. And you had one that say, whap, he cut out your hand. That I think is Kokoro. Because the individual, a girl without hand, passed her exam. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good morning.
Yeah.
I've listened to you talking about mothers and...
You have to speak a little louder for us.
I said I listened to you talking about women.
Yeah.
Remember, women have the children, but they did not have the child alone. I want to hear you speaking to the men too, the young boys and the men, to take on their responsibility as a father to help, because it's not easy for the mother. You said that. The men, some of them are just sex, that's all, and the consequences, they ignore it. We want to hear you encouraging the men to take on the responsibility. As I go around the village, I've seen so many young boys, and it's disheartening to see their condition. Some of them, they look like children that should be in school still. Could we have programs where we could get these young men together and talk to them and encourage them to further their education in various fields? Is it possible? Could we do that? Thank you.
Yes, you see, when I attack the women, it's easier for me to attack women because I get a lot of attack back. If I attack men, nobody do bother me. They say, leave him with his old rum drinkers and them. But when I attack our women, then everybody come up. So the women, I say to some women, if you in a relationship and the man don't want to help your child, leave the man. If you have a man that is a fisherman, he could blow a shell, you tell him, get a shell and teach the child, warn him. If you don't teach me, child, I'll fire you. The women are powerful beings. And watch all the females in animals, how they fight, how they get aggressive, how they get, we call it, defensive when they have young ones. So obviously women can do it alone. The radio personalities, they have a song, how to whine, how to juke. Those are the common songs. I want it harder. And these songs play every day. Then I ask, why not play the song, children go to school and learn well? Otherwise, later on, you're going to catch real hell. And Gypsy have a song about a little black boy. They have a lot of songs you could use. Now, I'm not somebody that believes in censor. I don't have no problem with any songs. But if you have, there are some songs that should play 12 o'clock in the night. But if all through the day you hear those songs, they have a song say, she's a whore. Yeah, they have a song like that. And sometimes you go in dance and you see women whining, she's a whore. So why play those songs? I don't want to hear a radio personality playing the songs. I find these songs should be played perhaps in the dance hall or in a pornographic place or something. Not on the radio. And then we laugh at them. And we expose our little 5-year-old. Now look at the songs that they're singing. We subject them to these songs all day long. But maybe if they're hearing a song, I don't know much of them, children go to school and learn well, otherwise later on you go catch your hell. That might serve as a little motivator for the child. They have a song, if the bar boss smash up the bar. So you go to a dance and somebody come and ask for one of the stouts, and it's a little dance, they don't know stout. They say the bar boss, they mash up the bar. You have some time when you go in dance, people climbing and they banging windows because the songs are instructive. So when I speak about the teacher, I'm not speaking about people involved in the government and teachers alone. Because parents are teachers too. And the musician perhaps are great teachers too. And then you have a number of people in different positions in the country, the artists, they are teachers too. So it's all of us. All of us have to make that change. Now it's so easy when we have a discussion, we individualize it, we personalize it, and we start to attack. Rather than seeing the subject matter and service in a think tank and say, how do we come up with solutions? We immediately start to defend. The reality is 70% of the children exiting school cannot meet the minimum requirement. We have enough school structure in Grenada, and the schools are in a better position in terms of quality, in terms of the staffing, in terms of the additional aids that is brought to assist children is better than any other time in our history. There is no excuse. And government come in and provide assistance in some areas and meals in some areas. So there is no excuse for the poor performance in our school. That must change. And yes, we have the formal teacher that is paid, but we have powerful teachers outside. We have the individuals on the radio. We have the calypsonians. We have the artists. We have the entertainers. We have the parents that go to every show. And nothing is wrong with going to the show. But attending the show should motivate you to make certain your child is educated in music. You don't have to believe me. Go and visit the mental institute. See the amount of young boys and girls. The number of women in the mental institute are increasing. Go and visit the jail, the prison. See the amount of young boys there. Go on the streets. Look at the amount of boys that are involved in pre-deal larceny. The majority of people in prison did not have a good education. So there is a direct correlation between the quality of your education and the chances you go to jail. The majority of people looking for a job today, the unemployed people, do not have the basic qualification to get a job. It's not that we don't have jobs available. In a lot of respect, we do not have the basic qualification to get a job. So we have high unemployment in the country. If we continue like that, the situation is going to be worse. We have a situation now where the government seems to be very insensitive to the cause of the elderly, the physically challenged and disadvantaged children. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre,
Yes, caller.
you keep saying time and time again, you talk about the 70% of the children exit in school and the problems that they're having. But I believe that the parents are the first teachers, the home, the environment that we make available for the children. We ought to do what is best for them. We cannot depend on the school system alone. There are times when the teachers have to deal with children that have real discipline problem. And you might take the entire session that you have to teach a class to discipline a child. That is handbugging them. And I believe as parents, you ought to see and observe what is going on around your child. If you have a problem in, let's say, maths, and it means that you have to have extra help, then you have to do it. More than half of the children that excel in the schools that, we refer to as top school in the outer parish in St. George's, these people get extra help out of school for their children because they want to ensure that they do well. Even in some of the children that excel, up here too, we have extension classes. I know Ms. Mark, as a retired teacher, is helping with chemistry in convent. And a lot of the time, the children get the 1 and 2s. They don't really sit down and depend on the classroom, because sometimes they don't finish the syllabus. But if you want your child to do well, you must seek extra help. And it is upon us as parents. Your child have a problem with discipline, you can handle it. You could get an extra counselor. You don't necessarily have to pay. But there are a lot of counselors now available. You could talk to somebody in a different school, talk to maybe some retired teacher that could influence that child to help him, because you can't do it alone. We have to work together to ensure we breed success for our children, and by extension, the nation would benefit. Thank you.
Yes, scholar, and that's why I say about 20% of the children are the ones that are really going through school system and are be very successful. About 20%. And most of these children have serious support from the parents. They have serious support from the parents. And that is why I use the term, our education system seems to be hatching onto success stories. But I pray the day when we provide success stories. Because there are parents that are giving the support and the afternoon class and the environment. And about 20% of the children are covered in that. 15 to 20%. So we tend to hatch on. I see in Ticola they're celebrating. I ask, what's the celebration for? Well, they say the children did well. But about 8 or 9 children that did well. Everybody jumping up, who fretting, who whining. Even children that don't do well dancing too. They're eating food and etc. But out of 100 children, about 8 or 10 children that did well. We have to change that. even the method, even the statistics, and I'm no statistician, but from my own thing, if 100 children enter the school system, you must account for this 100 children 5 years after. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah.
Yes, caller, welcome.
How you doing, man?
Great, man.
Great. Yeah, right. You say
We
that,
can hear you. You got to.
right, you there?
Yeah, go ahead. You have to.
You say that 75% of the children leaving school cannot meet
It's about 70% of the children not meeting the minimum requirements.
You're right, but what I'm saying is this is a problem that everybody needs to come on board to help solve, right? I mean, just everybody, right? Parents, children, NGOs, government, opposition.
Well, I just calling on the women, you know.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is this is a nationwide problem.
But we must solve it. When we have problems, we must come up with answers to solve the problem.
Right. So what I'm saying is, when we always on the radio, then right? I mean, criticizing each other, government criticizing opposition criticizing government, and we remain divided and separated. Then we cannot solve the problem.
The democratic system provides for that, for government and opposition to be going after one another. But when you have an education system, the mothers, the parents must be highly motivated and put emphasis on the children. We have enough school in Grenada.
No. Yes, I agree with you, sir. But what I'm asking now, what measures we are going to take to make sure that these parents will be motivated?
That's why I'm encouraging them. By the time your child is 5 years old, start to introduce music to your child. Take a deeper part in the child's life. And show.
For that to happen, everybody has to come on board.
If we start with one person, that good.
Huh?
What we need to do is if one person change, I'm happy.
Well, yeah, but one person changing that wouldn't solve it. I mean,
yeah, but it helps. It helps.
Huh?
We ought not to continue getting these results and smiling.
Well,
we must change.
And this is what we are speaking about here. But what I'm saying to you, what you say about the government and our democratic system provides for government and opposition to be at loggerhead, right? That's what you're saying. But what I'm saying is this is a nationwide problem, right? That is plaguing us for years and years and years.
So what I do is to provoke discussion. I would like to see parents discuss the issue at home. What could I do to make certain my child come out to school and he get maths, he get English language, biology, chemistry, physics, he could play music, he could sing, he could swim, etc.
But this is a nationwide problem, and everybody...
We must solve problem. We don't have to solve the issue in Senkaku and DIO between Japan and China. Exactly. We could solve what's going on in Grenada.
Because listen, right, I agree with what you're right. I don't right. I'll be leaving now. But what I'm saying is, government and opposition. Well, I mean, I just put it in that way then, because there is the two main entities in the country, right? So what I'm saying is they need, if government and opposition have to speak with one voice in solving that problem, and they cannot be at anyway. Thanks. Good.
Yes, caller, thank you. You see, some things we have to practically leave the politicians out of it. The fighting spirit have to come from those who have a gift from God. A child is a gift from God. And parents have to want the child to succeed. The government provide the schools. We have a lot of schools in Grenada, secondary schools. We have more scholarship than we could take. There are a number of times scholarships are offered, and we don't have the qualified people to take it. What we need to do is to make certain that when our children exit school, they have the basic requirement. There are some parents in Grenada that have it well locked down. I'm saying even if you say you're broken, you would have money to buy a shell. Teach your 5-year-old to blow the shell. And if the child could blow the shell good, then you open up the door to air instrument. The child may be able to blow the trumpet, the saxophone, the clarinet. If you have means, teach your child to play the guitar. Get your child some level of musical education from the age 5. Teach your 5-year-old the names of flowers. Everybody in Grenada has a few flowers. Between you and your neighbor, you have over 20 flowers plant. Know the names of the plant. Could you imagine a 4, 5, 6-year-old know the names of the plants? Teach your child the names of the villages in the parish. And that is not hard because we transverse a significant place throughout the parish. Let the child know the name. Every time you pass a new village, tell the child the name. Most of the women could write better than the man. The man leaves school, you don't write nothing for years. Sometimes he can't spell D. The woman writes it on pieces of cardboard. That's how you have a pack of card. Let the children learn the names. River Sally has some beautiful and interesting names. Let the children, you improve in the children's vocabulary. If your spouse is a fisherman, he knows the names of 20 fish. Teach your child the name of the fish. That improves the child's vocabulary. So when the child go to school, he will not be profiled as if he has no sense and he can't learn. These things are not, is the environment. We could do better. Encourage your boys to go to church. They're using obscenities by the time they're 13, 14 years. When they open their mouth, pus running out because they're using obscenities. They're disrespectful. Pray for them, bless them, encourage them to go to church. All that helps. It's not one issue alone. It's a lot of different things. I say to individuals, you have an 8-year-old, go on the internet and look for 8-year-old playing football. Look for 8-year-old playing music. That could help. Encourage the school to bring table tennis boards in the schools. That is cheap. I'm not asking you to tell them bring band, you know. You're going to say that expensive. Table tennis board is cheap. Bring table tennis board. 4 or 5 people in a community could come together and build a table tennis board. You must have a yard that you could put it for the children in the yard to play. We have to stop complaining and do better. We have to be result-oriented. We have to believe that we could change things. It's not England, America, or China, or Iraq that are going to change things for us. We could change it. Particularly now, where the government seems is contributing to the fracture of our society. Parents have to do more. And women, you are the main player. You have all kind of thing on man don't mind in child, man this. You are the main player. More likely, you are the one that leads the home. You have power. So you lobby. You lobby the male. Go and get a shell for me. It's $5 for a shell. Even though you have to tell him 12 times. He will get a shell. If your husband or your spouse or your boyfriend could blow the shell, encourage him to teach them to blow the shell. I spend a lot of time on shell because this is about the cheapest instrument you could get. And if you're able to blow the shell, definitely you will more likely able to blow the trumpet. The children are young, they're going to learn. You have the internet. Play some Spanish songs. You could go on the internet and you could get where they're teaching children Spanish. You have kids program. Don't tell me you don't have money. You have money. You have money. It's what you spend the money on. We must fix the pitch. We don't have to tamper with the ball. But we have to do better for the sake of our children. Otherwise, your children will get left. More in the next 20, 30 years, very few Grenadians might own business. The big, successful business might be in the hands of absentee owners or aliens that come to our country. So if we don't get our children more competitive, they might fill up the jail, the mental institute. We might have more vagrants on the street. The individuals that lose your job, don't bend on your head. The fact that you lost your job is affecting you, but it will affect your children more. They wouldn't say anything, but it's going to affect them more. You cannot afford to let them see you're bending your head, you know. And today we want to once again thank our mothers, wish that they had a happy Mother's Day, hope all the compliments they get renew their strength so they understand that they have to be hungry for their children's education. And don't waste time bothering with man. You that have to do it. 60% of the household are led by women. We're back with you tomorrow again between 12 and 1 for another program of On Target when you have an opportunity to punch.